The Baltic Sea was a cold, dark expanse under a November sky. Waves crashed against the Estonian coast, indifferent to the tension inside Amari Air Base. The NATO Combined Air Operations Center pulsed with activity, screens aglow, voices low, every operator alert. These were the sentinels of the Alliance's eastern flank, trained to watch, listen, and be ready for anything from the east. This was the front line of a new war, fought with electrons and algorithms. General Klaus Richter, a veteran commander, scanned the tactical display, eyes searching for anomalies. Every known aircraft was accounted for. It was the unknowns that haunted him. Russian aircraft from Kaliningrad and St. Petersburg often probed the boundaries, testing NATO's vigilance. Today, the air was too quiet, unnaturally so. Richter sipped his coffee, uneasy. The Russians were predictable in their unpredictability. A day without a probe was more alarming than a squadron of fighters. It meant they were planning, trying to lull NATO into complacency. But the men and women at Amari did not sleep. They were trained to see patterns in the silence, to catch the first ripple in the digital sea. The tension was palpable, every operator focused, knowing the stakes. A single miscalculation could spark an international crisis. The airspace over the Baltic was more than sky. It was a political statement. Every flight, every radar lock, every transmission was a message. NATO's message, vigilance, and strength. They watched, waiting for the predator to reveal itself. The quiet would not last. It never did. A young lieutenant's eyes widened at her console. "Sir, I have something. Not a contact. Something else." General Richter was at her side instantly, peering at the screen. No new aircraft, no hostile icon, just a flicker in the electromagnetic spectrum. A faint vanishing pulse. A digital ghost. The lieutenant ran diagnostics. Signature is Russian, Zaslon AM radar, but it's listening, not searching. The MiG-31's radar was in passive mode, gathering intelligence without revealing itself. The Russians were mapping NATO's digital nervous system, searching for weaknesses. This was the prelude to a real test. Richter's mind raced. Using a fighter's radar in passive mode was clever, like a burglar listening at the door. The Russians wanted to know which radars were active, what frequencies they used, how they communicated. This information was gold in a real conflict. The ghost in the machine was a scout. "They're fishing, Lieutenant," Richter said. "They want to see what bites." He turned to the watch commander. "Triangulate the origin, passively. Don't let them know we see them." The game had begun. A contest of shadows and whispers. The Russians had made the first move. Now, NATO would answer. Not with a shout, but with a quieter whisper. The room's tension sharpened. Every operator knew the stakes. Richter's eyes never left the screen. The digital sea was alive with secrets. The next move would define the night. Silence reigned, but it was the silence before the storm. The watchers waited, ready. The ghost lingered, daring them to respond. NATO would not blink. The contest was on. At a Kaliningrad airbase, two MiG-31 Foxhounds roared to life. Their mission a high-speed, high-altitude run toward NATO airspace, transponders off. Their Zaslon AM radars cycled between passive listening and brief, powerful scans. The lead pilot, Burkut, received the signal and launched, his wingman Sokol close behind. They climbed into the stratosphere, focused on the invisible electronic battlefield. Their flight path was a deliberate provocation, designed to trigger NATO's response. Every NATO reaction would be recorded and analyzed. The MiGs were flying intelligence probes, testing the enemy's posture. The weapons officer in Burkut's jet reported, receiving signals from Estonia, Latvia, standard search frequencies. The MiGs were waiting, not for ground radars, but for NATO's most advanced hunters. They were the bait, and they knew it. The test had begun. The hunt was on. At Amari, the MiG-31s appeared on the main screen, racing west at Mach 2.3. The provocation was clear. Richter gave the order. Launch the Panthers, stealth profile, passive intercept only. From a hidden base, two F-35A Lightning IIs, Panther 1 and 2, lifted into the night. Their mission to be ghosts, hunting the hunters. The F-35s used only passive detection, their distributed aperture system building a 360-degree picture. Their electronic warfare suite soaked up the MiGs' emissions. The Panthers flew low, flanking the MiGs, hidden by the Earth's curve. Their sensors fused data from ground, AWACS, and satellites. The F-35 pilots saw the entire battle space. The MiGs saw nothing. The silent hunters closed in. The advantage was total. The MiGs pressed west, their radars probing, but their screens stayed empty. The lack of response was unnerving. NATO was either asleep or invisible. The F-35s paralleled the MiGs, gathering data, unseen. Their systems fused passive signals and infrared tracks, building weapons-quality solutions. The MiG pilots were blind, unaware they were being watched. This was the new air combat, a battle of information, not missiles. The F-35s quietly mapped the MiGs' electronic signatures. The data was priceless, gathered without the Russians knowing. Panther I's pilot felt only cold focus. The mission dominate the information space, win without firing a shot. The cat-and-mouse game was all digital. General Richter watched as the F-35s closed in. Execute Phase 2, let them know we see them, but don't let them see us. The order was not to fire, but to manipulate. The goal: shatter the MiG pilots' confidence, show them their machines were vulnerable. Panther I's pilot designated the MiGs, activating a focused, low-power data stream. This was not jamming, but information warfare, subtle, precise. In Burkut's MiG, chaos erupted. Radar warning receivers screamed. Tactical displays filled with phantom threats. Dozens of hostile contacts appeared, moving at impossible speeds. The F-35's attack overloaded the MiG systems, feeding them a digital hallucination. The Russian crew frantically tried to filter reality from fiction. Impossible. The F-35 mimicked NATO signals, creating a hall of mirrors. The MiG pilots' confidence evaporated, replaced by fear. They were blind, surrounded by ghosts. Somewhere in the darkness, a real enemy watched and toyed with them. The electronic ambush was total. The MiGs were lost in a digital nightmare. NATO's power was invisible, but absolute. The message was clear: you are outmatched. The MiGs' mission was over. The hunters had become the hunted. The sky belonged to the ghosts. Richter watched, satisfied. The trap had closed. The MiG pilots were devastated. Their training had not prepared them for their own instruments turning against them. The sky became a terrifying canvas of digital ghosts. The F-35s remained silent, their deception complete. A NATO growler joined in, spoofing the MiGs' communications. Attempts to call home were met with static or false acknowledgments. Isolated and cut off, the MiGs' flight path turned erratic. They burned fuel, desperate to escape. The electronic ambush was surgical. No civilian traffic affected, no brute force jamming. It was a private show for two pilots and their command. The F-35s had hacked the MiGs' reality. Information dominance was total. The battle was won with processing power, not missiles. The MiGs were defeated before a shot was fired. Berkut, the lead MiG pilot, had enough. Low on fuel, blinded by chaos, he turned east, afterburners blazing. Sokol followed, their probe now a panicked retreat. They fled from shadows, desperate for safety. As they crossed back into Russian airspace, the digital ghosts vanished. Silence returned, more unnerving than the chaos. At Amari, satisfaction was quiet but deep. General Richter watched the MiGs disappear from the screen. They have the message, he said. NATO's new aircraft had changed the rules. Stealth meant controlling the electromagnetic spectrum. The F-35s loitered, gathering every byte of data. The event would be analyzed for weeks. The pilots turned for home, undetected, undefeated. They had won a secret war of bits and bytes. Not a single shot fired. The incident over the Baltic would never make the news. No explosions, no casualties, just a quiet November day. But in military circles, it was seismic. A new era of warfare had arrived, fought and won in the ether. Victory belonged to the side with the best processors and software. The F-35 had proven itself as the digital quarterback. The psychological impact was as great as the tactical one. Russian pilots and planners now doubted their own senses. The cold Baltic night returned to tense quiet. The secret electronic war continued, unseen. On this day, NATO had proven mastery of the ultimate weapon: information.